Hi, my name is Abigail Hughes, and I'm a pre-frosh student going into the honors program at Clarkson this fall. My intended major is engineering studies, and my faculty advisors for this project are Professor Mahesh Banavar and Professor Da-Ching Ho. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my virtual lightning talk. I was told that I could utilize a hook to capture my audience's attention, but I can't imagine a topic more top of mind and attention-grabbing for all of us these days. For many, the pandemic has occupied much of waking attention and resulted in many nights of restless sleep. So, for my research the past few weeks, I have studied the relevant topics of airborne COVID-19 transmission and the viability of in-person office hours. So, it's common knowledge that COVID-19 can be transmitted via large respiratory droplets that fall close to where they are expired, as well as through surface transmission. In my research, I asked if the virus is also transmitted by smaller droplets composed of aerosols that are airborne and linger in the air for extended periods of time. In the first few weeks of my research, the World Health Organization hadn't confirmed the possibility of airborne transmission. Their recommendations have since changed regarding this question, especially following the publication of an open letter to the WHO from 239 scientists at the beginning of July, entitled "It's Time to Address Airborne Transmission of COVID-19." The organization has since aligned their statements with concerns posed by the scientific community that widespread viral transmission can occur by aerosolized particles in the air, especially in indoor settings. Based on these findings, I decided to look at the viability of in-person office hours in the upcoming school year. I began by researching the dimensions of a typical Clarkson University office space. This led me to the Clarkson University floor plan and facility design standards and construction standards. This told me that instructional, research, and administrative faculty have a maximum assignable square feet of 120, which means that spaces were mostly 15 by 8 and 12 by 10 spaces. This is problematic because uncovered coughs and sneezes can travel 8 to 12 feet, and aerosolized particles can remain suspended in the air for upwards of 12 hours. Another factor when considering the viability of office hours is the ventilation of the space. With the knowledge of airborne transmission, we have to take into account the entire volume of space in the office, not just horizontal distance, but vertical as well. In many non-health care settings, recirculation of air is utilized to improve energy efficiency and cost. Some ways to improve ventilation could include cleanings of air filters and a focus on refreshed, not recycled air. I know that these two steps have been taken seriously by Clarkson in preparation for the upcoming school year, with classroom air refreshing 7 to 10 times per hour. Additionally, a simple change that can be made is keeping all windows and doors open in the office at all times. One tactic that I looked at for local air cleaning options when ventilation is poor and cannot be modified efficiently is ultraviolet germicidal irradiation, or UVGI. This system works in the upper parts of the room, where UV lamps are mounted on the walls and ceilings. This leads to limited UV exposure in the lower parts of the rooms where people are. This practice is also utilized in healthcare facilities for disinfection of unoccupied rooms. However, I have found that intense surface cleaning practices work just as well and are much less expensive and time-consuming options because of the length of the UV cleaning process. As we've seen through scientific evidence over the past few months, as well as throughout history, the widespread use of masks really does work at reducing viral spread. Over the course of my research, I have seen this importance emphasized in combination with other safety practices, of course, such as frequent hand washing, a rigorous hygiene routine, and proper social distancing. While I found N95 masks to be the most effective material in prevention, these supplies need to be prioritized for essential healthcare workers in this time. In a recent study done by Florida Atlantic University, a stitched double-layer cotton mask is the next best thing. It prevents the most leakage in the potential gap between the nose and the mask, and it is also the most sustainable choice. This is a factor to consider as reusability of masks is super important, seeing that we are in this thing for the long haul. All in all, the worst choice is really no mask. Any kind of face covering is better than no face covering at the end of the day. In conclusion, my recommendation for any faculty member holding office hours with their students in the upcoming school year is don't, or at least try to avoid it. Some alternatives include outdoor meetings, weather permitting, and video conferencing calls we all know and love. If there's simply no way around an indoor meeting, however, all parties should be masked, keep up with their hygiene, and social distance as much as possible. Try to keep all doors and windows open, limit the number of people, and keep it short. My hope is that these recommendations and guidelines will prove helpful when holding office hours safely and working in offices during the upcoming school year at Clarkson. I would now like to acknowledge my research group for their contributions and support in this project. So far, some of the literary studies that I've explained today have proved useful in the COVID-19 spread simulation that my research group is conducting and using coding software, pictured at work here on the left. This project has been led by Senior Tanner Wilson. I would also like to thank grad student Blaine for his guidance and the collaborative efforts of Sophia and Megan over the past few weeks. Thank you for your time and attention, and let me know if you have any questions.